Alright, we're back. 50. That last video I just put up, I guess that was 57, so this would be the 58th. SUMARI to everybody out there. Yeah. So, look, that last video, I know I said I was just going to go briefly into SUMARI, and I ended up going off into a whole damn near 30-minute video. But anyway, now, I want to put y'all, let me just make sure this time is working good. Alright, I want to put y'all down something new, man. Because I know I promised that I was going to be going into some more heavier stuff, and I'm about to take y'all there right now. So you better hold on to your jackets. Now look, check this out, right? I gave you that bathroom meditation, and I told you to improvise it, but I want to put you onto something new, man. And this is becoming one with merging your consciousness into other things. Now, if you look at ancient myths and stories, right, you would hear stories about people who could control the weather, people who could manifest storms, people who could basically control reality. And these take the forms of magicians and all kind of other ancient myths and stories, right? But there's always, every myth and story that's out there, there's some truth to it. One truth being that they all are real, because even if they didn't take place in this physical reality, they manifest it within an inner reality or other realms of reality. So every myth and legend is true. It's like we can argue about was Jesus Christ a real person or not, but at the end of the day, I think I said this in other videos, he was a real person. All of that actually did take place. We could debate about whether that was in this reality or another reality, but the fact that it's taken such a strong hold in people's beliefs and hearts and minds, it has manifested in other realities. So, damn, so I keep checking this clock, man. I don't know, should have just suddenly jump off. Because then I'll get angry. You don't want me to get angry. Because when I get angry, no, I'm just kidding. Is that from the Hulk? Anyway, so yeah. Now, where did these stories come from? Basically, there was a time, this is going way back now. Way back in time. There was a time when there were individuals that could control the weather and control what some may call a natural phenomenon. And this is because the reality was different. It used to work on a different kind of frequency, if you want to use that word. But we were more in tune, more in touch with things, man. So it's like, there was a time when, you hear stories like, how did people know where to find buffalo when they were roaming, Native American Indians, all these ideas of nature spirits, all these things. Where does it come from? How did they get this information? There were times when people could merge their consciousness, and they would merge their consciousness within anything. Anything that was in existence around them. They could basically merge their consciousness with that and see from the perspective of that entity force. Now, what I'm talking about, right? This could have been oceans, rivers, mountains, trees, other animals, insects, anything, even if it seemed like an inanimate object such as a rock or a mountain, everything could be merged with. And so say for example, right, like if you wanted to know the layout of the land, you would just merge your mind. I mean, you could have done it by standing in the water itself, in the stream or river. You could have done it by just putting a hand inside of it. You could have done it simply just by projecting your consciousness. But you merge your consciousness with the river, and your consciousness will become the river, become one with the river. The river would still be itself. The river would still be its own entity. But you would also be going along for the ride, seeing what the reality would be for this river. So you would travel with the river downstream and get a layout of the land. At the same time, it's a give and take. So at the same time, the river would become you, and it would see reality from your perspective. So the river, you would merge with the river river would merge with you, and now the river is getting the perspective of, just say for example, a person, an individual entity looking out into the land. Everything sees things from a different perspective. So if you merge your consciousness with a tree, you would see, the tree sees reality very differently from you. When you look at a tree, you think, okay, well, this is a tree. So if you say, okay, imagine yourself as a tree, you would think, okay, I'm a tree, I'm looking out, oh, there's people. But the tree doesn't see you like that. The tree doesn't have a retina, and the tree doesn't have pupils, the tree doesn't have eyes. The tree's senses sees things from a different perspective. So it might see you in a form of thermal images, body heat, or any kind of other images that it could use from its perspective, from its own mechanisms and stuff. So once again, I apologize. It's really late here in Japan, and I'm in the mood to make videos tonight, man. But if I seem a little off, I apologize. But anyway, so yeah, man, you can merge your consciousness with other things, and these people, so-called natives with sticks and stones, which were more advanced than anyone today, they would merge their consciousness with the trees and communicate with the trees and find out what's going on throughout the land and in the forests and the jungles. And they would, people say, they have this plant, ayahuasca, right? And everybody's like, well, how could they learn how to make ayahuasca? Because it's combined of like these specific ingredients and certain plants that come together to make this brew, right? Ayahuasca is this shamanic drink that many people travel to Peru to drink, and basically it would take you to other realms of reality. And people want to know, how did they learn how to make this? You have all these thousands and millions different species of plant life in the jungle. How did they learn how to make this one? And the people say, we learned from nature, the mother, you call it the mother goddess, or whatever terms you want to use, but basically nature came alive and showed this to them. How did they get that? That could have been done through an infinite number of ways, very numerous ways. We can say they smoked weed, they did some drugs, they did that. Once again, like I said in another video, just because they took drugs doesn't negate the experience. Perhaps the drugs, the marijuana, whatever you want to call it, whatever they used, that was the access to communicate with the forest. But anyway, so these people want to know, how did they find these ingredients out to get this brew going, right? And that's how they did it, by merging themselves, merging their consciousness with the plant, with the jungle, with the plants, merging themselves with it. And through that way, they would communicate with nature and find out what's going on. So here comes the well, first let me tell you this experience I had. Right, check this out. Let me get in my position. Anyway, check this out. Right, so now way back a couple of years ago, when my powers were like starting to spike. One day I went into the bathroom and I heard a strange noise. The water was running into the sink. I may have told this story before. The water was running into the sink, and I jumped, man, because I heard voices and shit. So the fuck is that? Voices, man, and they were actually voices coming from the water. But the thing was, like, they were distinct. They were definitely voices, but it was like a million voices, all these voices speaking at one time. But it was, I could make it. It wasn't just noise. It was actual voices. And I thought, oh man. And then when I got in the shower, I had all these ideas coming to me, man. It was like all these voices were in my head, and all this information was coming. So like at that time, like, if I had a girlfriend and shit, I would jump out the shower, man. Like, they thought I was crazy, man. All these different people I was there. I was like, give me a pen! Give me a pen! Shit. I would be running out the shower butt naked and shit, man, across the floor, like, give me a pen! And I started writing shit down because, like, I was getting all this information. And I was like, yo, man. So it was like, the water was communicating with me, and I was picking up on the frequency. My mind, my consciousness had opened to a point where I could actually pick up information. Now, I know there's a lot of stuff talking about, people don't believe it, but some people believe that water retains memory, and that water is actually conscious. A lot of people say that's nonsense. You got to really think about it, right? They say that we physically are made of like 90% water, and we need water. I mean, look, you can't do nothing without water. You need water to survive. I mean, everything else is pretty much bullshit. You don't need Coca-Cola. You don't need a glass of orange juice. You don't need Fanta. You don't need Diet Sprite or whatever shit they got out here these days. But you need water. Try not having water and see where your ass will be in a few days or weeks. You'll be gone. So, when you think about that, you say, damn, well, they say some people believe water retains memory. There are a lot of spiritual and occult connections to water. We are made up mostly of water, and we need water to survive. Maybe there's something with this water, man. So, anyway, back to me. That's what this is all about. Nah, it's good. So I would get these moments of inspiration and spikes in consciousness, man, every time. And it happens to this day, even now. Every time I would take a shower and really close my eyes and go into like this state, it would take me to this other place. I start picking up information. This all connects back to the meditation exercise I gave you. I know I said you could do that exercise. It doesn't have to be in a tub. And 2 videos back, the immortality meditation. But there's a connection with the water, man. So you're in this tub of water. It's warm. Think about when you're in your mother's womb, right? It's a warm place. You feel safe. It's a tight space. So you're closed in. You feel space. You're surrounded by fluid. And I mean, if you really want to think about it, right? Think about it from this perspective. They have these isolation tanks, right? And you've probably seen them from TV shows like Fringe. Perfect example. TV be telling you guys all this shit, man. I mean, whether the directors and whoever produced this stuff does it on purpose or not, even if they don't think they're doing it on purpose, their consciousness comes through and reveals this stuff and wants to get the information out there. So if you watch the TV show Fringe, Detective, what was her name, Olivia, she would go into an isolation tank, which is basically like a tank filled with fluid where you kind of like float in the water. It cuts off all senses, so there's no sight, no sound, and you're isolated inside this tank. And then from there, she would project and go into cross over into other realities. So you think about birth, right? You think about birth. You're inside your mother's womb. And like I said, you're in this tight, safe place, surrounded by fluid. More importantly, surrounded by darkness. It's like a dark place, and that's where all this action takes place, man. Whether you want to come into this reality or not, check out early. But basically, you're operating in a whole different realm of senses, man. You go into other realities. You're doing a lot of stuff. So this isolation tank basically fills, from my belief anyway, my understanding, puts you back into that state, that natural state, when you're still in your mother's womb. And that's why people are able to project into other places. But there's a lot of other things too to deal with isolation, and people start going to other places. You have that Gansfield, the Gansville test, where people put these kind of ping pong balls over their eyes with white noise and the headphones, and they've reported things where projecting into other reality. But you don't have to do all that. You don't have to go that far. I mean, shit, man. Sit down, close your eyes, go within. That's all you gotta do. Is keep it simple. But anyway, so yeah, my point of bringing up the isolation tank is you're floating in water. So my meditation, you were in the tub. The reason I brought up the tub is like you're in a bathtub, same situation. You're in a little bit of space, unless you rolling big time. You got a big fucking jacuzzi, but you're in a small space and you're closed in. Not closed in, but you're in this little corner and you got the water going. You lay back, relax, and you turn off the lights, and you basically put back into that reality of being inside your mother's womb. You feel safe, you feel secure, you feel at peace, and then you start traveling out to other realities. And at the same time, you're within this water. So this information is coming into you. So one point I want to dig. This is going to be a 2-part exercise. The first part is going to be, from now on, when you drink water, well, one drink of water, don't just drink the water down. Oh yeah, man, that was good. I mean, really feel for something, man. Like, when you drink water, feel it going inside your body. Feel it rejuvenating you, man. Like, really use your consciousness. Try to see what can you pick up, what messages can you pick up from a nice glass of cold water, man. And if you use your senses correctly, you can pick up stuff. Because you think about it, like, where does water begin and where does it end? Where is it coming from? I mean, it's like, for me, water kind of reminds me of like that. Carl Jung, he has this idea of the, what is it called? I can't come up with the word right now, but basically, there's like all consciousness is connected to everything, to all consciousness. It's like one unified consciousness, unified field or something. And basically, he's trying to say that, like, we're all connected, right? On a kind of psychic level or consciousness level, all consciousness is connected. So if you think about water, for me, it's the same thing. It's like no matter where water is, even if you're holding a glass of water, it still has. I mean, it also reminds me of the concept, the idea, of not even idea, the reality of all that is. How I said in the last videos, right, that we're all part of all that is. So even though we're individual, we're still a part of all that is. Even though you have a glass of water, it's still a part of all the oceans and all the rivers and all the streams. It's still a part. It's still made up of the same thing, even though it's separated and isolated. I'm going fucking deep tonight, man. What time is it? This is me in Japan going on some deep shit late at night on a Friday. Anyway, so yeah, so next time you drink water, just really go see what you can pick up, right? When you take a shower, listen to the water. Listen to the water. When you have the shower pouring down on you, across your body, whether it's in your head, your back, wherever, even just hitting the water, listen. But don't listen so much as intellectually, Don't sit there going, what is this water saying to me? Don't be like that. Open up your minds, open up your hearts, open up your soul, open up your consciousness, and really go deep. And close your eyes too, because that'll help you. When you close your eyes, the reason I say a lot of people, why do I have to close my eyes? Why can't I leave them open? Leave them open, but when you close your eyes, you're shutting out all of this physical, all of this stimuli with the five, at least one sense anyway. But when you shut down sight connects to a lot of other things. So you block out sight, your other senses will start to slowly come down and phase out, and then you can tap into these other realities. It'll be easier. But listen to the sounds. What can you pick up from the water, man? Because it'll take you to another place. That's all I'm trying to say, man. It's going to take you to somewhere. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up, this is for another level, or at least another thing you could try out. Communicating with rain. Now, in the beginning of this video, I talked about merging your consciousness with nature. Now, this is basically all connected. When you hear that water hitting the tub, merge your consciousness with it. Imagine your energy going into the water. You are now the water. You're still yourself, you're still an individual, but now you are part of this water. So look at reality from different perspectives. Stretch your consciousness. This is how, like, a lot of people, they wonder, why can't I go out of body? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Because they're too trapped in physical reality. You think about your dreams, right? When you go to bed at night, maybe not all of you, but many of you, you become other things. You're time traveling, you could be an animal, you could be anything you want. Consciousness is mobile, and it can turn into anything, literally anything. It can manifest into anything you can imagine. So you can't be afraid to push your consciousness into other realms of, don't be afraid to, you won't lose yourself, you won't lose your identity, but imagine yourself to be different things. Imagine yourself what it would be like to be a cloud looking down on the earth, looking at reality from the cloud's perspective. Don't worry about, is this cloud intelligent? Where's the cloud's eyes at? I can't find his pockets. Where's his zipper at? All this stuff. That's not important. But just imagine yourself as the cloud, viewing reality from the cloud's perspective. Then imagine seeing reality from the water's perspective. Imagine when you see an animal in the street, project your conscience into this animal. How is the animal seeing the world? This is why I have my snake, right? I have SUMARI. And I like having Samari around because, like, when I get with Samari, it's like I project my conscience into Samari, seeing reality from her perspective. And it's like, when you do that, it releases you. You think, wow, all right, now I'm Samari. All right, if I'm Samari, Samari doesn't know anything about internet, stress, work, paying bills, all this stuff. Samari is just Samari, and she's seeing reality from her certain perspective. And it will take you to understand new things. I had her out the cage the other day, out her, her playpen, and I put my bag on the floor, and for me, people say, well, it's just a bag, but for her, she was really excited. I mean, she was going all through my bag and looping around. It's like, I projected myself into her consciousness, and from her point of view, it was like, oh man, it's a fucking adventure, man. It's a cave, it's a cavern, underground tunnels and shit. And that's why she got excited. This camera's blinking, so this might cut off. I hope it doesn't, but yeah, so she's going through these things in my bag like it's a whole adventure. She gets really excited when I pull her out, man, because she's like, yeah, it's fucking adventure time, man. Travel, who the fuck is this weirdo sitting here? I'm gonna go through his pants leg. That's me. But, yeah, now, damn, I hope this doesn't cut off, man. Anyway, look, speed this up real quick. Check this out, right? So, I was communicating with the rain the other day, man. Keeping it real. The rain was pouring down, sitting in class at work, and then suddenly, the same thing with the water I had, with the voices. The rain was communicating with me. I was speaking to the rain on a telepathic level, going back and forth, and it was revealing a lot of information to me. Now, it looks like I won't be able to get into that information now. Maybe I'll get into it in another video, but the rain was communicating with me, and then I merged my consciousness with the rain, and it's a Sumari thing, man. But, another thing I want to tell real quick, I hope this goes. The other day I was in the bathtub, I was doing a meditation, I traveled out of my body, and while I was out of my body, I was imagining myself walking around the living room, and I hit something in this out-of-body state, and it actually made a sound inside of this physical reality, a big sound, bam, and jumps, oh fuck, that never happened before. And I thought it was a fluke, so I wanted to test it. I did it again, and the same thing happened. In this out-of-body state, I hit something, and it actually made a noise in my physical reality while I was in the bathroom. So, and one more point, if I get this out. I was in bed, right, with my girl, and I was chilling, and a few times, like recently when I've been meditating and stuff, I actually felt something behind me. Like I came out the shower, there was footsteps behind me, I was meditating, there's things moving around me, walking around me. The other day, my girl was in bed, and she was like, last night I felt scared. I said, what happened? She said, there was something walking around the bed and going into the kitchen and, just basically walking around the house and shit. So I was like, really? Interesting. So I played. I was like, oh, don't worry, man. I'm a Samari, man. It's other Samari. And it is other Samari. But I didn't want to get into details to make her feel afraid. But the point is, I didn't tell her about that. I was already experiencing that, and then she experienced it. And on many occasions, she was, oh, last night I heard something moving around the house. Like, what's going on? Now, she knows I'm into my deep, spiritual stuff. But I don't tell her about these things. Because if I tell her, oh, yeah, this is what happened to me in my meditation, there was something moving around, and everything's going to be a fucking demon. Oh, this thing moved. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, there's something in the house. So I just play it off, and I'm like, yo, don't worry. Who is it? What is it? It's other Samari, man, coming through to visit me and shit. That's it. Other entities, I'm like a gateway. When you do these things, you open up, other things come through. I'm not worried about evil spirits and all this shit because, I'll kick that ass if they come trying to fuck with me or in my living space. But enough of that. I don't get into all that stuff. Like, that's not even a part of my framework of belief. So I don't go into, oh, it's a demon, is it an evil spirit? It doesn't even register with me like that. I hear things in the house, it's just like, oh, well, damn, I must be getting more powerful because my projections are starting to take life of their own. That's it for now. This thing's blinking. I don't want it to suddenly just cut off. I hope you guys learned something tonight. Yeah. Anyway, to summarize, start merging your consciousness with other things. It could be inanimate things. Everything's alive. Whether it's a rock, a stone, everything is alive. And just to make you guys feel a little weird. I don't know if you guys saw the movie Donnie Darko, but sometimes I like to imagine that I'm him. Now I'm just fucking around. I'm bugging out. It's late. I'm here in Japan. I'm in Osaka. I'm living it up. And I'm a Sumari. Peace, love, and harmony as always, guys. Just trying to make a laugh. Throw a little mask on. I don't know what the fuck. I don't even know where this came from, man. But anyway, there's a movie called Donnie Darko where like one of his personalities takes the form with this mask looks better. Well, actually, it looks the one in the movie looks better. It's like an evil rabbit and shit. But you can check that movie out if you want. It deals with alternate realities and stuff. It's called Donnie Darko. But anyway, yeah. Peace, love, and harmony as always. Sumari, 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 Sumari. Take care.